in this ministry, and I was thinking about all of our life's challenges. And as I began to think about life's challenges, I was like, y'all see, my husband is not here. He is doing what I normally do on Tuesdays, which is take our daughter to dance. She is our youngest daughter. She's the only one living at home. Bless her heart. Her siblings are adults, so she has no one to play with. She has no one to talk to other than us and other than the other adults that we bring around her. Bless her heart. Bless her life. God bless her, please. So she's a very blessed young lady. She has a lot of personality. And so we need to find things for her to do with other children. Case in point, why dance is so important. And she likes it. And so we try to make sure that we can make that happen for her. Said that to say this. I'm thinking about valleys. And I'm thinking about, I was going to the book of Psalm, the 23rd chapter. And I couldn't get past that fourth verse. And that fourth verse reads, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." I couldn't get past the valley of the shadow of death. And I kept saying, the valley of the shadow of death, the valley of the shadow of death. And I couldn't move from that thing. I couldn't move from the thing because when I thought about it, I kept saying, well, what is a valley of a shadow of death? What is the valley of the shadow? Like what is that? The valley of the shadow of death. And what I kept thinking is, it's our human experience. It's what we go through. It's what we do. And so I always use myself as an example. I won't use myself. I'm going to use my mother tonight. My mother will have been passed away for a year come February the 28th. And many of you guys already know that. That was a different situation. You really don't appreciate the relationships, and you don't appreciate what you go through until that person that you love is no longer there. And then you want to argue with them. And then you want to fuss at them. And then you want to be fussed at. Like, people laughed at me because I said, Cynthia, my sister-in-law, heard me say, she heard me say, well, who going to hang up on me? I say, ain't going to have nobody hang up on me now. Who gonna be the one to hang up on me? I need that saint to, when she get mad, not listen to me and just go clink. Because that's what she do. If she don't like what you saying, she ain't listening no more. And whether it was important to you or not, she hanging up the phone. That's what she did. So it's been challenging for this last year. And I was thinking about her journey, her life, her valley. And I'm thinking about this young lady who, as a child, is the second oldest of 5 siblings. Her and her oldest brother are 10 months apart. They have had a very conflictual relationship for the fact that they're 10 months apart. So you think about, my grandmother had 2 kids under 1 in the house. So it was almost like having 2 babies. Like you literally had 2 babies at the same time. And having 2 babies at the same time poses all of its challenges. But my mother would often say, every bad thing that ever happened in my life was a result. He had something to do with it. And I would be like, dang, that's deep. That's hard. That's rough. Like, every bad thing, I'm afraid of water. She would say, I'm afraid of water because he threw me in the pool. I'm afraid of cats because he threw a cat on me. When they got school age, because he was pretty rambunctious, and he was, I'm going to call him a blessed young man, the teachers made judgments according to him, according to her, onto him. So the things that he did in school was a reflection on what happened to her in school. And so then she had a teacher in her 8th grade year that told her, oh, well, you're never going to amount to anything anyway. You might as well drop out and don't come back to school. So she left out of school with the 8th grade education and a baby in her belly. Coming up, she was raised with her parents being in a situation where her grandmother picked the man that she wanted her daughter to marry. She wanted her to marry him because he went to church and because he paid his tithes. Not that he was spiritual, not that he understood the word, not that he was a good keeper, not that he was a nice man, but because he went to the church. They knew the family at the church. They knew that he was a business owner, that he was an entrepreneur. He owned his own record store. Back then, they didn't do that. And so her mother wanted her to marry him, produces these 5 children or 4 children. She watched their very difficult relationship coming up. She had her own challenges of what she thought a father was to be. She watched her dad was an alcoholic. She then had some issues with and challenges with men, being abused by men, being sexually abused, being assaulted in her life. She says that's how she conceived her first child. She says her brother was there and didn't do anything about it. Very, I would say, dark life. So then she marries my dad, and she said that it was like a bet. Like they got married. Like he just one day was like, well, I'll marry you. You marry you. And they was like, okay. But not once really considering what that meant until they got married, and he couldn't keep his hands off of her. And she lost a few babies, had a stillborn baby. All this trauma. And the trauma caused her to, although she had that little baby when she was 15, that little baby she had was raised by her mom and her mom. But then it's me. And I'm the one that stays with her. I'm the one that's closest to her because, like my children, me and my sister are 14 years apart. So she was an adult by the time I come in the story. And but her maturation was that of a child. What do you mean when you say maturation? Meaning that her brain kind of stopped developing at 15. It means that the things that a 30-year-old would do, her mind was not quite in the way due to trauma because of the way that she was set up, because of the things that she experienced. Her way of life changed. If I had to put my degree to it, I would probably call that she had borderline personality disorder as a result. What does that mean? Well, that means, everything is about her, even if it's about you. Perfect example. She says, well, I want to buy you a cake for your wedding. So we go to the cake, we drive to Dayton, we go to the cake store. We sit in the cake store. Well, I want that one. I don't get to pick which one I want. No, I want that one. I said, well, what flavors can I pick? And I'm talking to the lady, and every time I would try to ask the lady a question about the cake, she would say, hey, now, how much of this can I get, and which one? I need to have a yellow cake. I said, Ma, can I choose the flavors of the cake that I like? Well, I'm just saying, if we here, I would like to. And you know what? Her wedding is in November, but my birthday is in October. And in October, I want to do these things, and I'm going, and you want to buy me a cake? Never once let the lady, every time the lady's attention kind of diverted towards me, she pulled it right back around. So we ended up with a 3-tier cake, and two of which she chose the flavor. It was hilarious. I've grown up with this my whole life. It's kind of funny now, and then we kind of laughed it off because it's just who she is. You could say when she saw my rings, she said, let me try them on. She took my rings off. She put my rings on. She said, these are pretty. I said, well, thank you. And then she wouldn't give them back. I said, Ma, can I have my ring? She said, well, these are really pretty. These don't look like mine. I said, because you didn't pick it out. They don't look like yours. We're talking about the valley, right? We're talking about our life experiences. And as she is going through her life experiences, everything that appears that could have gone wrong would go wrong if she was having that conversation about how her life was going. So what did she do? She turned to alcohol. Alcohol and drugs became her way of coping. Now, she's funny because although I can remember one time, because where my mother went, I went. Whatever she did, I went. I saw a lot of things that I shouldn't saw at a lot of different ages. So my mother didn't drive. She was afraid to drive. And what she would do was put me in the car with her, take my dad's keys, because by this time she remarried, my stepfather legally adopted me. So she would take my dad's keys, and when he wouldn't take her nowhere because she'd been drinking or wanted to go somewhere, she'd say, I'll take myself. And then she would say, come on. And so me not knowing, hop myself on in the car with her and trying to tell her how to drive the car to get down the street over her friend's house. Oh, you want to go to the liquor store? Okay, well, then I know every bootleg joint in our area, and I can tell you how to get there. And I can tell you who sells what, where, when, and whom. And I can point out to you who got what, who does what in their house, and who takes what kind of substances and what kind of substances they take. I can tell you all about it. This is my life. Every party that was ever created was in my house. And when it went down at my house. I didn't grow up on no church pew. What does that mean? What are you talking about? Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And I kept thinking about that. And I kept thinking about our experiences. And I kept thinking, what causes people to be in a low place? What causes us to be in this place where it seems like, first of all, nobody else in the world understands it. Nobody else in the world probably experiences it. I deal with kids every day who come and tell me, I'm talking 11 and 12 and 13-year-old kids, tell me how much they want to kill themselves. They tell me they have a plan. They cut themselves. They are so sad. And because of the adults, and then they feel like they have no one to talk to about it. Did you tell your mom that? No. Why you didn't tell you? Have you had this conversation with your dad? No, I don't tell them stuff. Well, who have you been talking to? Oh, my friends on social media. Oh, they're putting all this stuff out on social media. We're doing all these things on social media, and that's where it's at. Oh, they're bullying you on social media, and your parent don't know. Okay, and your parent just bought you a new phone to say that they loved you so much that they gave you a new phone. Oh, okay. That's how we work that. Valley of the shadow of death. So experiences. And sometimes in those experiences, we get caught in perceptions, right? We get caught in the things that we perceive it to be, even when it may not look like that or it may not actually be that way. We're talking perceptions. And as I began to think about experiences, I kind of turned my head to Job. And I started thinking about Job, and I started thinking about Job in a way that said, man, he was really going through the valley of the shadow of death. And when I think about, and people tell me about how their depression is really bad, and people tell me how different things that they're going through are so bad, and how they don't feel like they can come out of the valley, I think about Job. Okay, well, let's go. I'm going to Job, the first chapter, and I'm going to start at the 7th and the 8th verse. And it reads, And the Lord said to Satan, From where do you come from? And Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro on the earth and walking back and forth on it. Then the Lord said to Satan, Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, one who fears God and shuns evil? Keep going. So Satan answered the Lord and said, Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not made a hedge around him, around his household, and around all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, his possessions, and have increased in the land. But now stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will surely curse you, you to your face. And the Lord said to Satan, Behold, all that he has is in your power. All that he has is in your power. Only do not lay a hand on his person. All that he has is in your power. Do what you want to do with him. Just don't touch him. And this was really interesting to me, because then he's like, oh, okay. So then what did he go do? He said, well, I'm going to take everything else from him. Start taking his land, start taking his wealth, start taking all these different things, taking his children, taking all these things. But that wasn't good enough. Because remember, at first he told him, just don't touch him. Well, then I kept reading, and then we got into the second chapter, and he said again. And again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came amongst them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said to Satan, where do you come from? So Satan answered and said, I'm going to and from the earth, and from walking back and forth on it. Then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? That made me think. You coming in here with the angels. You with them. You coming in here. Where you been? Oh, I just been walking back to and from the earth. And he said, well, since you walking back into, because you're paying attention to all the people. You're watching what's going on the earth. You see what's going on. Have you considered my servant Job? He said that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, one who fears God and shuns evil. And still, after you done took all this stuff, still holds fast to his integrity. Although you incited me against him to destroy him without cause. You told me to do, you incited me, you look, I let you do that and he ain't even did that. And then I go back to the valley. I went back to the valley. And I went back to the valley and I thought to myself, we get so caught up in the valley, we think it's because we've done something wrong. We think that we've messed up so bad. We've done all these things that God cannot do what he's going to do because I was wrong. And because I'm in the valley and I'm walking through the valley, it has to be something that I've done to cause the valley. I have had to do something so bad that I got to go through all this stuff. Not knowing and not thinking I'm walking through my life experiences and things happen to people every day. And it's not because I did wrong, but it's just because I am, and I am created in his image and in his likeness. I am here and I'm walking, but I in my own mind perceive I've done wrong. Because why? Because I'm not getting blessed. Because God ain't doing it for me. Because I see so-and-so over there prospering. Because my life don't look like this. These things don't look like that. I ain't got nothing. I had to start all over from scratch. So they took my car and they took my house. And my kids is acting crazy. And my marriage is falling apart. And I don't even like you and the people that's sitting with you. Because I've done all these things wrong. But if you think about what God said, he says, it was without cause. It was without cause. And so when I think about our human experience, I think about how we can be ruled by our senses, by our touch, by our taste, the things that we see, the things that we hear, the things that we smell. We can be ruled by our perception. And I always tell the kids, perception is your reality. And I always say, well, so-and-so lied on me. Oh, my God, I get so, you lied, you fake. That's all day long. Oh, you just fake. You fake. Am I lying? That's all I hear. You know they fake. Can I give you a to be honest, Miss Marshall? Can I give you a to be honest? What's the to be honest? So-and-so fake. Well, what do you mean? Well, they lied and they told me this, and I screenshotted them, and they screenshotted me all those texts. And when they screenshotted me, I put it on, and they created a fake account. And then they did it, and I'm thinking, y'all so savvy that y'all creating fake. Y'all, it's so deep that y'all got to create fake accounts, post pictures with fake names to try to expose, because we exposing everybody. My kid ain't getting no cell phone, just by the way. It ain't going to happen. She can be 18. It's the devil. The cell phones for kids is of the devil. Say it again. It is of the devil. it is of the devil. I can't even understand. Like, or unless they come up with a phone, the only thing you can do is contact me. But then these smart kids these days, they know how to back in because it's an app for that. It's an app to make what you see on their phone not even what is really going on the phone. Y'all do know that, right? There are apps to counteract the apps. And you thinking that they just sitting and we just talking to our friends. Okay, you're right. Please don't be fooled. That's how I work in the middle school. We ain't even to the high school. They super savvy in the high school. So we talking. We talk about perception and it being your reality and what is perception and who's lying. So I give them a color and I give them something, a color or something that you can call 3 different colors. And then I said we all looking at it at the same time. We all are looking at it right now. You said it was red, you said it was pink, and you said it was maroon. Who told the lie? What you mean, who told the lie? The very concept is what keeps us in our valleys because we think in our minds that it's those things, it's those ambiguities that cause us to even be in the valley. And we get stuck in that place because we think that we've done so much wrong. We think that we've made such bad choices that we can only walk in this way. It can only go this way because I've done all this wrong. Well, then we already found out and we keep finding out, well, it can't be for the wrong because all sin is that we've fallen short, right? And I do believe that we've been taught that sin has already been dealt with. So sin can't be an issue. Y'all looking at me like I done said something wrong. Sin can't be an issue. Sin is not the issue. You cannot do anything so wrong that sin is the issue. But in our heads, we perceive that what the Bible says is our conscience condemns us. It is our conscience that condemns us to make us believe that we're so bad and we're so far off. Then we cannot commune with God, that we can't have a relationship with God, that we cannot walk with God, that we cannot talk to God because we've done these bad things that causes us division with God, that moves us away from him so that then when something goes on, we don't feel like we are comfortable enough to go to him. So then our prayer life changes. And we don't want to pray no more. Then when our prayer life changes, our study habits change and we don't want to study. The next thing you know, the enemy then sends somebody else in the valley with us to walk with us, to talk some craziness and get in our head and get in our ear to change our perceptions even more, to mess us up in a way that now not only am I doing these things, but now you done added another thing to it, and now I'm having more problems seeing where God is. Even though the word says he is with me. He is with me, but because of what I see, because of what I hear, because of what I can touch, because of what I smell, because of what I am tasting, I don't feel or think he's there. And so separation continues to happen, and that valley experience seems to be harder and longer, and that mountain top seems to be untouchable. It seems like I can't get there. It seems like everything that I was created to be is not going to be for me, even though we already understood and we know that there is a tree in an apple seed. We know it's a tree and an apple seed. We know it. We can, because we see apple trees and we can go pick the fruit off the apple tree. It still has to be a tree, even though it looks like a seed. There's nothing that you're going to add to it to cause it to be more than what it is. I'm going to say that again because y'all looking at me like this. There is nothing that I can inject into an apple seed to cause it to be a tree. There's nothing. I cannot go and get some foreign objects concocted into a seed, injected in, and that's the only way it's going to be a tree. It's an apple seed is always going to produce what it is. That means I don't have to put anything else in it. I just need to make sure that what I put it in is going to help it to be what it was created to be. So I can't get caught up by my perception of the thing. I can't get caught up in what I thought it was. What I have to do is put myself in good ground, in a soil that is viable and is waiting to hold my seed so that it can grow to become what it was intended to become before the foundation of the earth. It was always meant to be that. But I can't get there because all I see is this valley. And all I see is the trouble that comes with it. All I see is the shadow of death. All I see is all these bad things. Oh, my mama died, then my daddy died within 2 months of each other. Or then when I was a kid, these things happened to me. And then when I got an adult, these things happened to me. And then I went over there and those things happened to me. And then I got to try to go into school and all these things happened. And all these things keep happening to me. Instead of me saying, man, Lord, I understand this valley. I thank you for all these things that are happening for me. I wouldn't be the woman I am today. I wouldn't be the woman I am today had it not been for these valleys. I would not be who I am today had I not had my mother. I can't say I want your mother. Your mother wouldn't make me who I am today. I can't say I want your father because your father wouldn't created in me what I needed to know to minister the way that I needed to minister today. God, if God does not make mistakes, he didn't make mistake with who he gave us to, for who he entrusted us to. He didn't make no mistake about where we come from. He didn't make no mistake. It wasn't no mistake that I had to grow up over here. And it's funny, and this is a bit transparent, forgive me, but hey, it is what it is. My biological dad did not grow up in my house with me. My mother and my father, my biological father, was divorced when I was 2 because she did not choose to stay in the abusive relationship and him doing all the things that he was doing outside of the marriage and so forth and what he was doing to other people that were in my home. She decided to leave. When I was a kid, I used to think, why doesn't he want me? Why does he have 10 kids? And why doesn't he want me? And why am I not good enough? And that good enough has stuck in my head for years and years and years and years that I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. My own daddy don't want me. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. So I let all these things come into my circle because in my head, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough for a man to love me. I'm not good enough for this person to care about me. I'm not good enough. And then I get on my job and then I'm not good enough and I'm not good enough and I'm not good enough. And that keeps repeating in my mind. And every time I try to get away from the I'm not good enough, something else happens that causes me to feel like I'm not good enough. But then I got a revelation. And I said, what? I had to go through what I went through so that I could be here standing to deliver and help somebody else to go through what they're going through. It would not behoove me to have your life. People say, oh, you just jealous. I promise I'm not. I promise I want nothing that you have because what I understand is I don't know what goes on behind your closed doors. I know what goes on behind my closed doors, and I am not trading your stuff for my stuff. Trust and believe. I might not always like my stuff, but I don't want yours. I'm good on that. I know what I got. I see what I got. I don't know what you trying to pretend to have. I don't know what you trying to pretend to have, but I don't want none of it. It's cute. It looks good the way y'all walked on that way. You deal with it. I don't want it. I know the truth about me. And I got to see it before I see it. I don't want nothing I don't want nothing nobody else got. Keep it. It comes with its own set of problems. I'm very well of that. So anyway, so I'm getting back to this. So then I'm thinking, the Lord gave me the revelation of because I was really hurt like as a kid my whole life about my biological dad not being around. And so when I was 10, my stepdad and my mom, they married when I was like 5 or 6. Just turned 6. They married on my dad's birthday. My dad's birthday is July the 14th. My birthday is July 24th. So I was turning 6 when they got married, like in 10 days. I was turning 6. And when they married, when I turned 10, my mother had made the decision and my father had made a decision that I'm going to legally adopt you. I didn't know what that meant at the time. All they told me was that my last name would change, that I would go from Jordan to Owings. And that's all I knew. I would go from Jordan to Owings. I really didn't understand the ramifications. I remember my mother saying, this will secure your future. I didn't know what that meant. What she was saying was, your dad ain't going to do nothing for you. That's a done deal. I don't want you to keep his last name. I don't want you to have nothing up with him because it won't do you well. But if you take on his last name, if you let him adopt you, everything concerning him will go with you. And then you'll have a legacy. And then you'll have something other than what you can see right now. And my dad loved me like I was his own child, like he and my mother was together my entire life. And up until the day he died, it was so crazy. When I start going through his stuff, when we packed up his house, my dad died in December of, December the 30th, 2016. So they died literally exactly 2 months apart. And when I went and we were packing, everything that I had ever given him, he had filed in a filing cabinet. From birthday cards to invitations to graduations, from my high school graduation programs to college graduation programs to cards that Justin had given him. Like, I was like, Dad, how did you fit all this stuff in this little bitty plate? He had my adoption papers. He had like all kinds of stuff. He had it in there. And I'm going, I thought she was the one that saved everything. I see that she wasn't the only one. Well, I said that to say I had a problem with it because then I got angry about it because it still wasn't my dad. And so then I started rebelling because that's not my dad. I didn't understand at 10 that he was somewhere doing what he was doing. He wasn't studying me because I'm still on this I'm not good enough stuff, right? So what then had happened was the Lord had, when I got saved, and I kept saying, why me? And I kept going through the why me's and why couldn't I have my dad and why couldn't my family be like this and why couldn't, and the Lord just ever so gently said, I protected you. I protected you. I put you in a house with a man that would not harm you. You can read into it exactly what you want. I put you in a house with a man that was not going to harm you, because the man that was there would have harmed me, as he had harmed so many before. And so God strategically moved him out the way so that my safety in that home was there. But all I see is the valley. What I didn't have, not what I did have. What I didn't have instead of what I did have. So then as I go on and I'm thinking about Job and what Job had gone through, and I'm thinking about how he was struck with all these different things and how he lost everything. This is the next part. Job had some friends, right? And these friends, I guess, was well-intentioned, right? The word said that when they heard of what he had been through, it says, now when Job's 3 friends heard of all his adversity and that had come upon him, each one came from his own place, and I'm not skipping all them names going down, for they had made appointment together to come and mourn with him and to comfort him. And when they raised their eyes from afar and did not recognize him, because he had all the boils all over him, his body had now been afflicted. Well, where the enemy had just took all his stuff before, and he said, well, he didn't curse you because you didn't touch his body. If you touch his body, he gonna show curse you. So then God said, well, go ahead, just don't kill him. Touch his body, just don't kill him. And so then when they looked at him, they didn't even recognize who he was. And then they lifted up their voice and they cried, and each one of them tore his robe and they sprinkled dust. So they started to grieve and mourn. They sat down with him and they even stayed with him for 7 days, right? They stayed. How many of us got them kind of friends? They come, they sit down with you, they there with you. It's all good, like y'all there for me. But it's one thing. They weren't telling him exactly what he needed to know. So although their intentions may have been well, what was going on was not well. Same with us. We have people in our midst that while we are in these valley situations that think they're helping us get out the valley. They think that they're there to be with us, to comfort us, to console us, to help us. But really what you're doing is planting more seeds of doubt in my head. You're making me think that, again, that I'm doing something wrong and that I should make the decision. Girl, you know you just gonna need to go and leave that man. He ain't no good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And because we have now separated ourselves to a place where we think we're doing something, we believe that lie. Girl, you know what? You need to go ahead and quit that job. Them people don't respect you. They don't like nothing you doing over there. You just need to go ahead and get out of that mess, girl. That's a mess. That's a mess, girl. That ain't nothing but some mess. Get out of that. And you be like, yeah. It ain't nothing but some mess, because we forget that God is with us. We're not giving that energy to God. We're not giving it to God what we need or getting from God what we need. We in our own heads with the people that sat among us that called themselves our friends. They call themselves, and they mean well. It makes me think of T.D. Jakes. And T.D. Jakes has a message in a book called Instincts. I don't know if anybody have ever heard it. And in Instincts, he talks about a turtle and a giraffe. And he talks about the turtle and giraffe in a way where he says the turtle is in the woods with the giraffe, and he's trying to tell the giraffe, you know what? You can't make that move. You can't do that. You better not do that. You not better. You can't. All this stuff about what he can see and what he can't see, what he can do, what he can't do. But the turtle can only see from his vantage point. The turtle can only see. So when you look at a turtle and a giraffe, the turtle is to the ground. So all he can only see are the things that are on the ground. T.D. Jakes says, but the giraffe head can see over all of it. So the giraffe can see the big picture. He can see what's coming afar off. He can see what's going on over here. He can see the right moves that need to be made. But because if he listens to the turtle, he won't move, because he's listening to the turtle from a place that only the turtle can see, not from the place that the giraffe can see. So their abilities are not even the same. So what he begins to say is, we need to stop listening to the turtle, because the turtle can only see from where he's at. And what happens is, you get around people that only can see what's around you. They don't see your destiny. They don't see your future. They telling you to leave that job, but little do they know in 2.5 seconds the superintendent is walking up in that place talking and creating a whole position for you. Don't tell me what I don't know. A superintendent of a whole school done bypassed the whole HR process and come into your office and sit there and say, hey, this is what I need for you. I need you to write your own job description, and I need you to tell me how much money you're going to charge me to do it. Y'all missed it, because if y'all got that right there, y'all would have shouted. The superintendent of the school district comes in, sits down with you, and says, I need you to tell me what you want to do for a living, and I'm going to pay you if I can. I just don't know how to work it out. You got to help me work you out. When I was ready to walk out the door, because I was listening to the people. And I'm going, and you try to, okay. And every head turned like, why is he going into her office? why is he even in the school? Why he even here? Why he going in there? Why she just close that door? What they talking about? And then the room, say what you want to, but you can't tell me that's not favor when you stop looking from the turtle's point of view and look. What he even said is that, watch this, and in order to hear the turtle, the giraffe has to drop his head down in order to even hear what the turtle was saying. He got to come out of his comfort zone to drop his head down in such a way that he can hear exactly what the turtle was saying, which then, watch this, is going to kill him, because a giraffe cannot drop his head below his heart. You better read it. It's going to kill me. It's going to kill my dream. It's going to kill my vision. It's going to kill the things associated to me, because I'm so busy, got my ear on the ground and can only see what I can see. But I don't see the future. I don't know the future. I can't see the whole picture because I'm not up where the giraffe is. So I better get them turtles out of my life, because they can't see God's vision for me. God will send you like-minded people to come and speak into your life. He will send the people to speak the oracles and the truth of the word. He will send everything you need when you need it, because he is with you. We get so caught up on what we see, we forget that God is with us even in the valley. But we only want to sit on the mountaintop. I don't learn nothing there. I praise and reflect there. I don't learn the lesson because it didn't cost me nothing to build my character there. I got to build my character in the valley. What you made of? Are you going to quit, or are you going to keep going? What does it look like when you keep going, or are you going to give up? You going to quit, or are you going to know that God is with you? I'm sorry, no, it didn't go my way. No, it did not go my way, but I ain't going to stop. Because if I stopped, then it made it about me. Going over here. Job said something I really like, and this is not going in order, but I'm going with it. Maybe that's how the Lord want me to pull it out. This is so off the notes. In chapter 42 of Job, Job says to God, then Job answered the Lord and said, I know you can do everything. I know you can do everything, God. I know you can do everything. And that no purpose of yours can be withheld from you. No purpose of yours can be withheld from you. Not me. No purpose that God has can be withheld from him. Why? Because he is not a God that's going to lie to himself. It's not, listen, he has to do what he said. Isn't that what he says in Isaiah, the 55th chapter, the 11th verse? Oh, y'all looking at me strange. Y'all looking at me strange. So shall my word be that goes forth from my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish what I please, and it shall prosper in the thing to which I sent it. Yes. Yes. So it's not about you anyway. He says, I know that you can do everything. I know now you can do everything. There's nothing, God, you cannot do. There is nothing, God, you cannot do. Oh, y'all still looking like, well, he can't do this. He still ain't fixed my credit. He still ain't got my loan approved. He still ain't did that. He said, there is nothing that God cannot do. Nothing. And even if it was something that he couldn't do when he talked to it, it could do it. So then you got to step back. Okay, Lord, what you want me to learn? Because then it's in the lesson. Because I've already known that I know that you can do everything. And that there is no purpose of yours that can be withheld from you. Nothing that God has purposed. So then I think, well, God, what have you purposed? Well, you purpose for me to prosper and be in good health. You're not going to lie about yourself, right? What else have you purposed to do? You purpose that I should go and I should do all the things you said, that everything, every good and perfect gift comes from the Lord. So if that's what your purpose, then that's what it is. Because you are not going to do anything against your own purpose. Your purpose was to save us. He said, I'm not slack concerning my promises, as some men count slackness. He said, but I come that all should not perish. I am not going to do anything he's not going to do anything against his purpose. So why we get stuck with the valley experience when we already know that it's already been worked out and it's already won and it's already done? And if I keep letting all these people who meant to do good, because they really did mean to do good, but they just didn't know that they weren't doing good. They didn't know they weren't saying all the right things and God was like, y'all lying on me. Y'all ain't even saying it right. Y'all ain't even telling me right. When we sometimes believe we have done so much wrong, and the wrong that we have done has caused God not to bless us, prosper us, help us, change us, move us, grow us, love us, we think that God has turned his back on us. We think that he's left us. We think that he doesn't love us. We think that we've done so much wrong that he can't protect us. We think that we can't do it right enough. Right? And then we get these people that's in our ears telling us all these things, that you should do this and you should do that and you should do this. But we never did go to the one that says, for I am with you. We don't go to him. We don't ask him about it. We don't have a conversation with him because we so stuck on, he didn't do it. He didn't do it for me. He did it for them. He didn't do it for me. He did this and didn't do it for me. He did it for them. And he ain't blessed me. So-and-so got a new job. So-and-so got a new car. So-and-so got a new house. So-and-so got a life. So-and-so's mama didn't die. So-and-so's daddy didn't die. How's that happen? How'd they get healed? I didn't get healed. I prayed the same prayer of faith. We stood up here together and I did that too. God loved you more than he loved me. But you are with me, and you are going to fulfill your word. You cannot lie. And all I have to do is get out of my own way and focus my attention on the Father, focus my attention on the one above, and get that nonsense out of my ear. Change my circle. We start to believe the lies that Satan has told us to attack our character, our family, and our bodies. And then we get defensive about it and about protecting ourselves and fighting our own battles with the carnal weapons of warfare. Oh, they didn't want to give me this loan. Well, I'm about to go over here and get Susie Mae's credit and steal her stuff, and then I got their credit. Now I'm about to do it myself. God bless me with a house, but you stole so-and-so's credit. So then we pick up other stuff. Well, I wanted the car over there, so I'm just gonna figure out how I can get that car. And if I can talk them out of this, then I'm gonna do this. I ain't talking about it means that somebody. I'm talking about we start to connive in our head, and we start trying to figure it out ourselves, and we start going and making decisions that's not going to help us in the long run. How can I short it? How can I shortchange it? How can I do it this way? How can I do it that way? And we've never sought God because we think in our head, because we're in this place that God don't love us, he don't want to bless us, he don't care about us. And so then we isolate ourselves from people who really are there to speak a word of encouragement into our lives, that are there to build us up in our most holy faith, that are there to love us, that are there to care for us. And Bishop talked Sunday about, we always talk about we are not ignorant of Satan's devices, but we really are ignorant of Satan's devices. Because Paul was talking about the man that did and said all these terrible things about him and began to turn his heart, and he forgave him. And he said, and if you know what's good for you, you might want to forgive him too. Because in that I don't forgive you, in that I don't love you, that's Satan's trick. And if we're not going to be ignorant of his devices, we better know which way he comes from. He is the opposite of love. He is the opposite of forgiveness. He is the opposite, because we still think that me forgiving you has something to do with you. And if I forgive you, then it means that I am validating what you did. Some of us get held up in a real bad place with this unforgiveness. I was there for years. I couldn't understand it. And I'm like, Lord, I want to forgive. I don't know how to forgive. I want to forgive. I don't know how to forgive. Lord, please help me to forgive. Lord, I don't know how to forgive. Please help me forgive. But what then I began to understand is I just had to say to myself, I'm going to forgive you regardless to whether you ever said I was sorry. Because it was not for you. It's for me to be free. It's for me to be free. And then, and you over there sleeping good at night. You ain't blinked an eye. You ain't turned over, rolled over, moved, nothing. You ain't talked, ain't tucked, ain't did nothing. You sleeping good, ain't thought about me. And I'm over here replaying a tape recorder in my head. And they said this, and they did this, and how dare them come over there and say this to me. And I can't even do this, and I'm not doing that. And they did this, and they did that. And they said this, and they said that. And everywhere they move, you got something to say. When all I got to do is purpose in my heart to forgive you. And I'm telling you, I never knew. And I saw a meme that says, I never knew how strong I was until I had to forgive somebody who never said I was sorry. And I mean, I did that thing. And it was so hard at the time, like I say, like, don't you know better? Ain't you the pastor? Don't the pastor know? Dude, ain't you the pastor? And you letting your wife treat me like this? I ain't talking about our pastor. I'm talking about my own experience. I'm just saying, it ain't my pastor. But I was thinking to myself, dude, you a pastor. Like, you can't tell me, you couldn't tell me that God told you to do, you couldn't tell me you took that to the Lord in prayer. You couldn't tell me that God ain't told you that. You show me where it said in the scripture. Show me where it said that, what you just did in the scripture. Show me that. So then when I had to come out of myself in that self-righteousness, y'all better come on, somebody better roll with me, because I'm telling y'all, I was angry. I was angry that man was standing up and declaring the word of God. I was angry. And you treating me like this and you letting her treat me like this. I was angry about that thing. You slandering my name. People walk past me and be like, there go the trumpet. I'm trying to tell you that I had to forgive people who never thought it was anything wrong with what they were doing. And they stood in front of the people, church gazillion times big, 1 million members everywhere I went in my city. Couldn't nobody tell me how great of a pastor he was. And I just would go, praise God. I go to so-and-so church, and we go to so-and-so thing where our pastor is so-and-so, and we do this and this and this. And I'm going, amen, amen. Praise him. So I had to check my mind, because my mind was saying, oh, do you? Girl, you better get out of there. That was what my mind was saying, but it wasn't the right attitude. It was not the right thing. It was not the right way to handle the situation. So what did I have to do? I had to start praying for them folk like they were me. And that was the only way it worked. That was the only thing that freed me, was to understand that she was me. I can't talk about it if I don't know about it. That's why that's why I can't just be my sister's keeper. I am my sister. And I understood her in ways that I never did before. And then I was able to forgive her in ways that I didn't know how to do before. And even when they would still do, God bless you, I am so glad you're prospering. This is a wonderful thing. It didn't come overnight. It was a process. But I did not stay in that place to let the enemy keep playing tricks on my mind to, watch this, y'all, come back with it, that I wasn't enough. Because it was all what it was based in, not being enough. And then the enemy had somebody in my ear that was constantly telling me just how much I wasn't enough. And I was listening. I had my ear bent down to the turtle to hear the enemy tell me just how terrible I was in every way, not understanding that her place coming to me wasn't from the right place. Because she wasn't trying to align with me so that we could be a blended family. Her place was to align with me so that she could tear me down. And she didn't even know that she was doing it. And when I understood why and started making it like, oh, Lord, okay, I thank you. But if I hadn't gone to prayer, I wouldn't have understood her, and I couldn't love her from a distance. To say it's okay for you to feel that way. It's okay. And I'm praying that God will deliver what you think one day. Not my role. And I'm not carrying no more of your stuff. I'm dropping it off. Get that off my back. I don't want that. It's yours. I don't need it. You keep it. So then we talk about we get defensive about protecting ourselves and fighting our own battles and using the weapons of warfare that are not meant to be used in this war. And we talk about coming out of the battle. We're talking about coming out of the valley, but we're fighting with the wrong tools. And we're fighting with these tools that don't work when the word has told us that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. So that I'm going to whoop you all right. I'm going to whoop you straight in the spirit. I'm going to tear you up, and I'm going to take you to the Father, and we're going to fight that way. And I ain't got to do it for myself, but I'm going to tell you, you don't know about them angels I just sent over there. You don't know nothing about them angels. You better go talk about them, because I'm going to tell you they can war. You want to be encouraged? I'm going to send you some angels to encourage you. I'm going to do what? If I got them, why aren't I using them? If I got them, I might as well use them. Lest I dash my foot against a stone. I might as well use them. But I want to sit here and talk about, you want to, okay, now I got to cut you. I ain't got time to be cutting people. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time to be taking off earrings, wiping my face with Vaseline. I'm too cute for that. I ain't gonna get cut in the face. I ain't gonna be able to do that. 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 So I have to prepare the fight for the right weapons. And I have to know that it's not fought there. And I have to know that I have to have people around me that are willing to stand in the word with me, not stand in the flesh with me. Amen. That not tell me that I can't do this unless I do that. Oh, you girl, you ain't going to be able to come up until you get rid of that husband. Or you ain't going to be able to do that until you quit that job. Or you ain't going to be able to do that until you go and leave that church. That's what people tell you because they don't know what you are looking at and they can't see the big picture. I remember somebody told me something that blew my mind one day. It blessed me. It blessed me so good. They told me if I was to leave this situation right now, that all of the things we went through wouldn't be worth it. And I was going, that's kind of deep. That's good. If I'd have left this thing right now and walk away from it, what I've already come from, it wouldn't even be worth it because I wouldn't then have the testimony to give to the next person that's going to be in a situation just like mine. Blew me away. Blew me away. And I'm thinking, I ain't never thought about it like that, girl. I need to come hang out with you more often because you say the right words. You know what you talk about. Because I was ready to walk like, deuces, upside down. How do the kids used to say? Upside, up, down, however they used to say it. Because I was ready to be like, moving back to Hugh Heights. And I'm out. Y'all don't really understand. Y'all laughing, but y'all don't really understand how serious I am. And I'm telling you, it's some people that love you when they talk you off the edge. Because I'm telling you. But then you lose why you are going through it, and you don't get the lesson, and you don't go to the next level because you stay in that place. Amazing. It's amazing. But then we say that we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. I am so off topic, and let me wrap this up. I'm so like y'all don't even understand. Joshua, the 1st chapter, the 9th verse said, "Be strong and of good courage, and do not be afraid, nor be dismayed. God, your God is with you wherever you go." So all I want to do is encourage you guys tonight. I want to encourage you that no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what it looks like, no matter what it seems like, God is with you wherever you go. And that there's absolutely nothing that you can do wrong enough, bad enough, ugly enough for God to change his purpose for your life. There's nothing you can do. There's absolutely nothing you can do to change that. There's absolutely nothing you can do to get off of where God has you to be. And know that everything that you're going through is by design. It's on purpose. There's a reason for it, even when we don't know it. But we got to stick and stay in order to get where we're going. We have to stick and stay with God. We have to trust God and get them people out our ears that's talking from the turtle standpoint and not from the giraffe. If you can't bring me to the word, show me the word, and lead me by the word, we really don't have nothing else to discuss. Again, Job 42:2, "I know that you can do everything, and that no purpose of yours can be withheld from you." There's nothing that can be withheld for you. And this is the part that I really like. When you drop down in verse 8, and it says, and God says, "Now therefore take for yourself 7 bulls." He's talking to Job's friends. "Take for yourself 7 bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering. And my servant Job shall pray for you. For I will accept him, lest I deal with you according to your folly, because you have not spoken of me what is right, as my servant Job has." And so Eliphaz and the Temites and the Bildad the Shuhite and Zophar the Naamanite went and did as the Lord commanded them. For the Lord had accepted Job, and the Lord restored Job's losses when he prayed for his friends. Indeed, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before when he prayed for his friends. What am I saying to you? Please pray for me. Pray for the people that you don't see. Pray for the people that their minds have left and they have began to perceive that they're in a place that they can't come out of. When they have perceived the hurt and the pain that is, they think it's theirs, and they don't know it's a situation and it's separate from who they are. Pray for your friends. Pray for one another in our most holy. Pray for us. Pray for me. I'm going to pray for you, because when he prayed, God restored everything twice of what he had. He lengthened everything that he had. Amen. I'm going to leave this alone. I love y'all. I love y'all. Look around. See who you see who you don't see. See who you see who you don't see. Look around your life and see who you see and who you don't see. Look and pay attention to who's in your ear. Look and see who's in your circle. Look and see if the people that are talking to you are talking from the word, or are they talking from their flesh? Are they lifting you up in your most holy faith, or are they telling you something that go against the word of God? Listen and watch, and be watchful to this end. What they're doing and what they're saying, are we getting to a new place? Because you are not your valley. You are not your failures. You are not your mistakes. You are not what the enemy wants you to believe you are, but you are already overcomers. You're already where God wants you to be. You're already walking in your destiny. I don't care what it looks like. If you need to close your eyes just for a little while, then close your eyes. Sometimes it's okay to trust the people around you while your eyes is closed and you cannot see, when they are of the Lord, and let them help you to a new place until you can crack it open and see the sunlight. It's okay. It's okay. I love y'all with the love of the Lord.
A